Hey, everybody, hold on just a second. Give me just a sec. I'm going to throw it over to our moderator in just a minute. Hey, Sam, I'm going to throw it to you in just a sec, okay? No problem. Here goes. Yay, there you are.
Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the fourth Tales Channel debate. Today is going to be a fun one. We're going to be doing Sonic Colors versus Sonic Generations. So in the left corner, defending Sonic Colors, we're going to have Matt Has No Cuts. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
That is fantastic. And in the right corner, defending Sonic Generations, we have Evan Mardiculus, the current host of Tales Channel. Evan, how are you doing? Sorry, actually, I should have flipped it because you're on the left. And whatever. Anyways, how you doing, Evan?
That's fine. It's all good. I'm good. I'm a little nervous. You know, it's been a while since I've been in the ring, but, you know, I think I can do this. I think I got this.
Yeah, not as nervous as me, though, because I don't know what I'm doing. But we're going to work hard to make sure it goes smooth.
No,
in chat, I want to say this right off the bat, chat. You guys are going to be essential for this debate. I would definitely want to get your guys' questions. I want to hear, your guys' thoughts. If you guys have specific questions for each person in question, or just a question in general that each candidate could ask, please do so in chat. Maybe at me in the chat so it could really pop out for me. That would be great. With that said, let's start with the opening statements from each person. Each person will have 2 minutes for their opening statement. And then after that, we'll get straight into the questions. So we are going to start with Matt Has No Cuts, who is defending Sonic Colors. Matt, what is your opening statement regarding Sonic Colors?
Okay, so I obviously love Sonic Colors, and I know that it may seem like I hate Sonic Generations after the second debate of being against Sonic Generations, but I still think the game is awesome. But I'm going to be arguing that Sonic Colors is better than Sonic Generations, and I have multiple reasons to support that. And first off, one reason, and this is one of the biggest reasons, Sonic Generations doesn't have much personality or uniqueness that brings in the players. Because when you play Sonic Generations, you're playing the game and it doesn't have a unique atmosphere. When you go to City Escape and you complete that, you're like, SA2 was a great game. With Sonic Colors, you have a whole atmosphere, you have all these planets. It's a beautiful game, and it's special. It gives you special vibes, and not only that, I think Sonic Colors is a bomb game. I think there's a lot more content. I think that Sonic's gameplay is a lot more expansive, and my biggest issue with Sonic Generations is how casual it is. The game is very casual, and it's very hard to play the games, take it seriously when you run through a stage and get an S rank without even trying. You can play the game one-handed, and it's really not hard at all.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I have to say.
All right. And Evan, your opening statement, you have 2 minutes.
All right, guys, so I really enjoy Generations, and it's no secret that a lot of people enjoy this game. Coming right out the gate, we all are thinking the same thing, and clearly Matt is himself as well. Is the main thing that goes against Generations is it doesn't have as much of an identity, right? But that's not what it's trying to do, right? It's a celebration of Sonic's history, and I would argue that that's actually extra important, because really there are only 2 Sonic games in all of Sonic's history that even bother to go back and acknowledge past Sonic things, right? Mania did that, and I know we got a couple of things in a row that acknowledge, Green Hill, Chemical Plant a couple too many times, but I'm talking about going back and revisiting things from Sonic Adventure. We don't really get a lot of things like that. So it's not about its identity so much as it is about what they did for the Sonic series at that time. And just looking ahead a little bit into the next couple of years, we're not really getting that. They're only celebrating one game, that being Sonic Colors Ultimate for the 30th anniversary title. And a lot of people are feeling left out. I don't know if you were a fan on the online community when Generations came out, but from my experience being on the online community nearly in its infancy, Generations was a point in being a fan, at least from my perspective, where we truly felt really united because everybody got a little piece. Now, that came at the price, as Matt well said, as he said, it came at the price of it not having as much of its own identity. However, if it sets the groundwork for the game to come after it to have more of identity, then that's fine by me. And at the time of Generations release, that's how I felt. Now, it's not what we got. We got Lost World, but still, that's about all I gotta say until we get into the meat of this. See you when we do that.
All right, right on the dot. Okay, so that was their opening statements. And now let's jump right into the heavy questions here in chat. Again, keep in mind that if you guys do have a question you guys have for the candidates, to at me in the chat and ask your question. I'll be sure to take a picture of it and we'll come back. And if you guys also donate questions, we'll be sure to come back at some point to be able to read those at some point. But I will say this right off the bat, that if you guys donate questions, it is not a guarantee that your questions will be answered because we only have a certain amount of time. But just please keep that in mind because we do have to get going. But with that said, let's jump to the first question regarding the story of these games. When it comes to Sonic games like Sonic Colors and Generations, both games, especially as of recently, are polarized for their storytelling. Since you both are defending your respective titles, can you tell the audience why your game story is better than the competition? Matt, I will start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So, really, how stories work with both of these games, Sonic Generations doesn't really have much there. It's just kind of, I mean, Sonic, he gives a thumbs up in some of the cutscenes. It's very just, it's a simple story Sonic Generations has. And Sonic Colors is also kind of a simple story. But I would argue that while Sonic Generations has less of a cringy story, I'd say Sonic Colors has more of a everlasting impact. Because, like, I mean, what impact does Generations story have? You got this, Sonic. That's all you got from Shadow. That's it. That's all. But with Colors, I mean, you don't really get much from the cutscenes, but there's moments in the game, like the final boss fights, when all of the Wisps, I'm gonna call them aliens because I suck at pronouncing them plural, where you have all the aliens in a circle and you're going in to do the final hit on the boss. Little moments like that, that's special. And yeah, I think that's great for Sonic Colors, and it had a good setup for a story, but really, the script was major. It sucked. It was terrible. So I could see why someone would like Generation story a lot more. Honestly, I don't really care about the story in either of these games, because really, the story sucks in both these games.
Okay. Okay, so with that said, Evan, do you want to reply or respond to House of Cuts?
Absolutely. How much time do I got to do that?
You have 1 minute.
All right, let's go. So I want to bring up something that you brought up in your opening statement. You mentioned that Generations is it seems to be more directed to casuals and its gameplay experience. And I know that it has nothing to do with the story right now, but I wanted to kind of talk about how I think the stories for Generations and Colors are about the same tier, in my opinion. But I would say that Generations is put a little bit above it because the thing that everyone is clamoring for as a community, desperately, Generations doesn't deliver entirely, but it is way closer than Colors will ever come. And it's clear that Generations' intention through its marketing and the levels they selected, it is for fans. And we don't get a lot of games like that. A lot of games we've gotten up until the point of Generations release and the games after are trying to focus into like a lot of different markets and casuals. Generations, I would say, is not for casuals. So the story kind of takes a bit of a backseat. They're afraid to go in depth into any of the previous lore things, but at least they try.
Okay. Matt has some cuts. Would you like to respond to Evan?
Okay, so
you have. I'll also give you 1 minute. Go ahead.
All right. So, well, here's the thing. I mean, I guess Generations could have been a good story, but I mean, Colors could have been a good story. Both stories kind of suffer from a lot of the same issues, really. I mean, Colors has a more cringy script, I'll give you that, but really, both these stories suck, and I mean, sure, Generations could have been closer to something good, but like, really, nobody's playing Generations for the story, and people are playing Colors for the story. That's kind of sad. But still, though,
I would your own game.
Yeah, I'm roasting my own game because I mean, this is the weakest point that Colors has. But really, what I'm arguing is that story isn't important for these games because really, nobody plays these games for the story. It's both stories are terrible. Generations has barely anything. I mean, that's really, and for the casual,
5 seconds.
you said Sonic Generations not casual. That is major cap. I'm gonna have to say that.
Okay.
We'll get into that. I'm sure.
With that said,
Yeah, we
with
will.
that
We
said,
will get into that.
hey, silence. With that said, we will continue on with the next questions here since we got that out of the way. Let's jump to the gameplay side of things because I'm sure we'll be hearing more of the story as time goes on. But when it comes to the gameplay side of things, Sonic games are often praised for their high-speed platform and unique gameplay style compared to the other titles in the gaming landscape. Can you tell the audience why your title, in terms of gameplay, is better than the competition? Evan, I will start with you. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
All right, so in terms of gameplay, the only kind of point you could make for colors, and I quite enjoyed this too, is that the Wisps, they feed really well into the replayability of the game, but I never find myself revisiting colors. Right, the first playthrough not just the campaign, but going and collecting the red rings. That the one time I do it to unlock all the multiplayer stages, that's the only time I ever did it. Generations feels like I can return to the level for the level. And I return to the level for the level because of the level design on its own, and not because of a gimmick that they created for that game that feels less Sonic, right? Sonic has these abilities. In the adventure games, he gets equipment attached to him to gain abilities. In Generations, you have a skill tree kind of thing, an upgrade system, where you upgrade Sonic. And so you want to revisit the levels you've played before with your new mechanics, like the upgraded trick system, which I really, really like, where you can do tricks really quickly, or you start with a certain amount of rings. There's all really great things in there that make Wisps completely irrelevant. I mean, the only thing I can think of that Wisps would be beneficial for, they barely have even done. Maybe for merch, like cute plushies, but they don't do that. So what's the point of keeping them? Give Sonic cool abilities and make Sonic fans enjoy playing Sonic for Sonic, and make the levels good for what they were good for in the past. And again, that plugs into what Generations is trying to do, be a celebration of its history. And as far as boost gameplay goes, I think they do a pretty good job. They don't do momentum so great with classic Sonic, but I think it's the best of the Boost trilogy. That is my opinion. And I'll end a little early for you.
All right. Matt has no cuts. Would you like to respond to that?
So something I have to say about that is
Yeah,
Sonic Generations, when it comes to, like, when you're replaying the levels in Sonic Generations, you can only replay it, like, 5 or 6 times before you know all the routes, like, all the top. You're not going to purposely fail the routes to just do the level differently. Sonic Colors, there are so many different ways of replayability. For one, the Wisps, I need to start calling them aliens. They complement the boost gameplay perfectly, especially with the level design. And there's so much, and you say that the replayability didn't matter much for the Wisps, but I'd argue that it was actually really good for Sonic Colors, because Sonic Colors is easy to pick up. Like, anyone can play through it and have fun. But if you want to go back and get all the red rings and get all the Wisps and use them to your advantage, it's going to take a little bit more skill. And you can't just get an S rank from holding forward like how you can in Sonic Generations, which is very annoying in Sonic Generations. That's why.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, I would like to respond to that. May I?
You can. You have. I'll give you 1 minute as well. Go ahead.
All right. So, I mean, it was, you know, it's a pretty good burn, bro, with the ranking system. But, like, honestly, I haven't cared about the ranking system in such a long time. I mean, the ranking system doesn't even unlock anything for you. I think it's really just about pride and at that point, and it's for completionists. And I think a vast majority of Sonic fans look at the rank for like 5 seconds and go, oh, well, all right. I mean, I think the ranking system is only there so you're like, oh, wow, I did a good enough job, and then you just move on to the next thing. Now, you were talking about replayability. That's completely subjective because I definitely boot up Generations like a ridiculous amount of times. And I said this on my stream on Twitch yesterday. What I love about Sonic is when you almost, like, around your first couple of playthroughs of a level, you might accidentally jump over obstacles and keep this kind of momentum and flow, even in a boost game that doesn't have momentum-based physics. Then you'll want to go back and try to get that same run. A lot of the Wisps break that momentum and pace.
Okay, Matt, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah.
Yes, I
sounds
will
like-
give you 30 seconds. Go
30
ahead.
seconds. All right. So first of all, the ranks are important because it's a satisfaction. We have to work for that. It pushes a player to get better at the game they
For
are
what
playing.
reason?
If they're getting an S rank, they don't care about getting better. All right. Nobody's gonna care about that. It's about the satisfaction. It's important. Even for games like Sonic Adventure 2.
It's
You
just a
gotta get
little
the
thing.
A rank.
It's just a
Evan,
little
let
thing.
him
It's just
finish.
a little
Evan,
thing.
let him
Okay.
finish.
All right. For the Wisps.
I'll give you an extra. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds.
All right, thank you. But like, I've lost my train of thought. But like,
I'll give you another 15 seconds.
Keep that,
okay,
Sam,
okay, I
Sam got
can't
you.
think. Okay, dang it, I lost my train of thought. No, why? Okay,
Okay. So, Evan, would you like
Just move
to
on.
respond to that? If you do, you have 15 seconds.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy
Okay.
to give Matt some time to recollect his thoughts. That's not
Okay.
a problem.
really? I forgot about the second point you made. That's
It's-
honestly what it was.
It's okay.
The second point I
with that
made,
said-
the Wisps break the momentum. It's like a
Okay,
lot of
yeah,
them
that's
break the
good.
momentum.
That's cap.
Okay.
That's cap. You have nothing to say to
That's
that?
cap. That's cap. No, okay, look. All right, wait. Is my
Cube
time
Wisp?
going? All right,
Hello?
okay,
Hover?
no, Cube Wisp. No, you can go fast with Cube Wisp if you're good at the game. All right, you're garbage.
Yeah, but
You
there's
see-
no slopes to launch yourself off.
All right,
No,
all right.
but
We're
you
losing,
can-
we're losing our track here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a civilized debate.
So wait, that's
So
what you
with
wanted
that-
to say? That's it? You're done? You're
No,
you're
wait.
good?
Is my time still going? What's going
Sam,
on? Okay.
how much
look,
time has he got?
I will give you. I will give you another 20 seconds to make your thoughts.
All right. So
Go.
with the Wisps, especially with Boost Wisp, you have to earn the boost, which we'll get to later. But for things like the Cube alien and all these other aliens, is that yes, it can seem like blocky platforming at first, but you can do things around it to get through it faster. Manipulate the double jump, do the boost, get past them faster. You can jump.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I have to say.
that's your time. I think with that,
Can I respond to that? Am I
Well,
allowed to?
you have 20 seconds to respond, Evan. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so to clarify, there are a couple of Wisps that don't break the momentum. I love the laser Wisp. It's just a lot of them, like hover, like they only work with light dash, right? Rocket sends you straight up, but you can't go anywhere, and it kind of contradicts the Sonic fundamentals, in my opinion.
Gotta respond to that.
Okay, you got to. Okay, Matt has a cut. You have 15 seconds to respond to that. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So first of all, the Wisps complement the level design. I'm sorry, but I don't have to be going at blitzing speeds with a Sonic game constantly. Unlike Sonic Generations,
Fair.
you know, where you're going fast constantly. I like a break of pace like that, where you get to mess around with different gimmicks
Whoa,
to
whoa,
get
it's
through the
not
level
forces.
and increase your score and get an S rank, which
Okay.
takes skill
And that-
compared to Generations.
that's
You
your
really
time.
like the rank system.
That's your time.
All
Evan,
right.
you are not on the clock. Do not talk. All right. I think now would be a great time to take some questions from the chat from earlier. This is a question from Jolie Salad 1206. He says, "What exactly does Matt mean by Sonic Generations being casual? Isn't Sonic Colors one of the most accessible and easiest Sonic games for new players?"
Okay, this is what I have to say. That
You will
Oh.
have 1 minute. Go ahead.
All right. So what I have to say about that is Sonic Generations, you kind of just hold forward. With Sonic Colors, there's a lot more that goes into the move set. You don't just boost. You have to worry about the jump. You have to worry about conserving your boost. You have to worry about how to get good with the aliens to manipulate the level design in your favor. You have to be good at these routes. Sonic Generations has some of those things, but it's so minor to the point where once you replay it like a level 5 or 6 times, you're pretty much master of the level unless you look up like YouTube videos on how to do a speedrun strat on Sonic Generations where you're breaking the game going out of map. It's Chow Mix style. But like, other than that, that's it. And you get S ranks way too easy in that game. In Sonic Colors, the red rings are they actually make you work while playing the game. It's not just, oh, go on this different path to get a red ring. In Sonic Colors, you actually have to do some challenging-ish platforming. Sonic Colors, it's easy to pick up and play through and beat the game, but it's hard to it's hard to master is what I'm saying. Not hard, but you know, it takes work to master. That's all.
All right. Evan, would you like to respond to that?
Absolutely. How much time do I have for that, Sam?
I'll give you 45 seconds.
Oh my gosh, why are you so mean to me? Okay, hold on. Let me just like make my timer so I can actually see my time. And I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
It's based off my time, young man.
I just
your
want
time starts. Your time starts now.
I'm sorry. Okay, you just gave me more time. Anyway, so you're talking about how like these stages are more expansive and stuff initially, but like we have to remind everyone that like a majority of these stages are like micro-sized. A lot of things that people criticize Forces for, Colors has, and a lot of people have suggested, hey, instead of this debate, why don't you do Forces versus Colors? And I can understand that. Matt and I just couldn't think of anything we disagree on besides this. So they're mostly 2D. So yeah, they're built like this and they're blocky. They're really tall and blocky in 2D. Now with Generations, it's more of manipulating the physics. There are skips, right? If you play it because you're in 3D. And yes, it's exploiting the game, but there are cool sections and secrets where there's like springs on top of loop-de-loops you would otherwise run around. There are times where you got to run across the water in Seaside Hill to do a really cool shortcut into a 2D section. It's really cool stuff.
Time has run out there. Matt has no cuts. Would you like to respond?
Yes.
Or, okay, then I will give you 30 seconds. Your time starts.
All right. So what I have to say about that is with Sonic Generations, you do a jump, you do a slide, you run forward, you hold X pretty much the whole stage. With Sonic Colors, you have to do more. And I mean, you say that's not more expansive, but it is. You see, because you say that the stages are short, and they can be if you're just holding forward in Sonic Colors and just doing the most basic stuff. But if you're going for red rings and all that, at first, it can be challenging to master a stage and get all the red rings and finish the level in the fastest amount of time to get, you know, an S rank and all the red rings, you see? And with Sonic Generations, look at that. Look at the expansive levels. It is relying on speedrun strats on YouTube for you to gain interest.
Your time is up. I think we should move on to the next question here. We have a question from Chaos Control VA with a $10 donation. He says, here's a question from Asno Cuts. Can you still appreciate what Generations did for the franchise at the time? That being celebrating many different aspects of the universe.
This is a very good question. Thank you for asking this one. Because I wanted to respond to this in his intro statement. Yes, Sonic Generations was good at the time. It was nice. It was, you know, a celebration of Sonic's history. We don't get a lot of that. We got it in, you know, Generations and Mania. That's pretty much it, where we got a celebration, a game that's based on that. And that's cool, but who cares? It's a celebration for at that time. No, listen, because, like, when you're thinking about iconic games that you love, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Colors, things like that, but, like, Sonic Generations, it's a celebration of other games. It's that, I don't think that's a good excuse for why it doesn't have a good identity for, like, Colors and other games like that. I mean, sure, it's a nice excuse, but it doesn't make it better.
Okay. Evan, would you like to respond to that?
Absolutely. So we're bringing back... How much time do I have for that?
I will give you 1 minute.
Okay. So it's going to be on you. I can't do this timer thing. It's distracting.
You're fine.
And I'm taking the gloves off now, Matt.
All right, take it off.
So you're saying stuff like... It has, like, Colors has more of an identity, but what identity is that? Because it's a huge shift from the identity. What identity? It's an identity shift from what we know as Sonic. And yes, you say stuff like, who cares about this celebration of Sonic? But that's the exact kind of mentality that results in games like Colors, disregarding the entire history. The writers not doing any research onto the lore of the series and just completely throwing it under the rug. At least Generations refers to some of those things. Those writers had to have done some sort of research. The identity is not a point. And that's all I got to say about that.
Okay.
I'd like to respond.
Okay, I'll let you respond. You have 45 seconds. Go ahead.
And I kind of agree with a lot that you said there, but, like, still, it doesn't have an identity like Colors, which you were asking what identity was that?
Because it's different.
It's called the charming. It's called the charming
Sonic.
feel. Yeah, it's the charming feel of being in space, being an entirely different thing.
Mario
Sonic
Galaxy.
Generations. No. Oh, don't even compare this shit to fucking Mario Galaxy. That is. Nah, we ain't doing this. All right. No, you can compare Lost World. We're not doing Mario Galaxy on the Colors. That is no way. All right.
Okay. Now, what I want to do is, since Matt had a focused question there that was kind of focused on Matt's side of things,
yeah.
Evan, I do want to shoot you kind of the same question. Can you appreciate Colors for what it did to the series by that By me, I mean with it being more of like a focused experience this time around compared to any of the modern games we had beforehand. Because I remember when Colors first came out, it was praised for being a consistent Sonic game that didn't really have a whole lot of gimmicks like the Werehog and such like that. Can you appreciate Colors for what it did to the series as well?
Yeah, it's my... Oh, 1 minute? Okay. I read your lips there. Okay, so I do appreciate it. I mean, the criticism, it was coming out of Unleashed, right? So the criticism was the Werehog, and people were kind of tired of playing as a completely separate character. So, and yes, the Sonic's friends, it was like an exhaustive argument, and I didn't feel that way, but I kind of went along with it because I was in the younger community crowd at that time. So you kind of go with what the reviewers say because you think people older than you must have their minds in order, but then you get older and you're like, what are you talking about, bro? So I'm conflicted about Colors because when it came out, it felt like a W, but as time went on, it feels like a deviation on what made me fall in love with the series. So when we talk about identity of this game, I'm just like, why are we celebrating the identity of a game that made such a drastic shift? Generations is written by some of the same people as Colors, but it still achieves some sort of cohesive consistency with the other games. And I would even argue Forces does that a little bit better than Colors too. So it really, this point of identity is such a weak point, in my opinion, for Colors. I really do. I think it's actually working against you, Matt.
I think your time is up now. Sorry. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, I'd like to respond a little bit.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll give you 45 seconds. Go ahead.
Here's what I'll say. And yes, I don't really like the whole things that came from games after Colors where it was bad writing and this and that. But like, identity is important for Sonic games because if your game doesn't have a good atmosphere, it's not gonna live up to other games. Like, if you don't feel a natural special attraction to that game, it's not going to hit hard as, say, other games. Yeah, but like Sonic Generations, when you're playing the game, you get to City Escape, you're thinking about Sonic Adventure 2. What a great game that was. You're not thinking, wow, Sonic Generations, it did I mean, okay, well, that's actually probably cap on my part, but like, still.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sonic Colors identity is great. Space.
Can I respond that?
I'll give you 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, so the thing about Generations is because it's a celebration, we're celebrating other atmospheres, but you have to remember that the general consensus of games like Adventure 2 and Adventure 1, unfortunately, is that they're not polished. So Generations celebrates those atmospheres and puts them in a new context for people who didn't appreciate them. So you can't sleep on that W for that game just because it's not a wholly original game, because with that mentality, we'll never get a celebration of anything's history ever.
Okay.
In moderation.
I said your time's up.
In moderation.
I'd like to respond.
Okay.
All right.
You'd like to respond? I'll also give you 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like that, and I like that we got a celebration game like Sonic Generations. I appreciate the celebration atmosphere, but that doesn't make it better than Colors atmosphere. It's a cool excuse. It's cool that it happened, but if we're talking about harder hitting, Sonic Colors, because it has so much more charming things that are unique to that game that when you see, you can have nostalgia for Sonic Colors. You're playing Sonic Generations to be nostalgic.
Sonic Colors is in Generations. We got it.
All right. Well, time is up, and I think it's best if we move on now.
I hate you.
So, this next question is actually something that is intertwined with one of my hard-hitting questions I wanted to ask, and one that Chalmix actually asked as well. So, Sonic Colors is often polarized for its short levels and abundance of 2D sections. Can you tell the audience, Matt, why Colors is still better than Generations in level design and in 2D sections? Your time starts now. I'll actually give you 2 minutes for this one, Matt. Your time starts now.
Okay. So this is what I have to say. I mean, really? I don't care about 2D sections. I don't think 2D sections make a bad Sonic game. Because, I mean, I think games could be good if it's 2D. I mean, like, really? It doesn't matter. And I think people underestimate the 3D sections because there are still a significant amount of 3D sections in Sonic Colors that everybody overlooks. It's not 2D the entire game. If you play the game, you would know that, and the 3D sections are really good. 2D sections are really good too. It doesn't have to be 3D to be good. I think 2D belongs in modern Sonic. I think it works well in modern Sonic. But for level design, here's what I'll say about level design. Sonic Colors, and I have to go back to this again, but the Wisps, the level design complements the Wisps very well, and you can use it to get to the red rings, use it to master the level, and I know you're tired of hearing this, Evan, but like, that's what makes good. That's what makes it good. You can play through the level normally, and it'd be easy, or you can use the Wisps to, you know, be better at the game, get through it faster. Match S rank, red ranks.
All right. Is that all you had to say? Okay. Evan, would you like to respond to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I will give you 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay. So the problem, and I absolutely agree with you. I know, shocker. I agree with you that I don't necessarily think that 2D equals bad. I've been on the record saying that multiple times. The unfortunate reality is that every single time 2D has been implemented in all of any boost game, it's kind of used as filler. And so when people kind of count the amount of 2D sections in colors, they're really counting filler, as if you would count it in a manga or something. They don't utilize it in the same way that, say, 3 and Knuckles or Mania would, where they're taking advantage of the vertical depth and the limitation that allows you to control Sonic better. They're not taking advantage of that. They're using it to streamline the experience. Now, with Wisps, the pro that you're talking about over and over again can be easily achieved with the level mechanics, which is literally base, like surface level design knowledge, right? Have a level mechanic explained naturally throughout the progression of the level, as opposed to just artificially adding power-ups in levels. It'd be better if they were themed around the level you're in, which is what Generations does, a la the cannons in Seaside Hill.
Time. There's time right there. Asma Cuts, would you like to reply to him, or would you like us to move on?
Yeah, I would like to reply. So,
okay, I'll give you 1 minute as well. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Now, it sounded like you were implying that Sonic Colors 2D sections were filler there, Buckaroo. And I'm gonna have to disagree majorly, because, I mean, the Wisps are mostly used in 2D sections. And things are you're mostly doing stuff in 2D sections, and they're really good. And if you play the game, you would know that. Like, the level design is it's kind of crowded in a way, where there's constantly things for you to do, constantly things for you to not miss. Just like how a boost game should have. And for Sonic Colors, that's what it is. I mean, and I hate to bring this up, there has been some good 3D sections, but if you're gonna call 2D sections filler, not 3D, I mean, there's been some sections where you're going down an empty road in 3D and just doing, like, drifting. I mean, like, compared to 2D section, like, no. And, yeah, I mean, I think every game has filler sections. Sonic Generations, at the end of Green Hill, you're just holding forward down its straight path. Literally.
And
not bad. Can I clarify, like a microsecond of some things?
I will give you 15 seconds.
Sweet. I didn't mean to imply that, like, 2D sections equal filler. Like, it's not as black and white as that. I'm just saying it's unfortunate that it feels like they lean on it a little bit too much, and they can do that in 3D. I just think it's not as often. That's it.
Masno Cuts, would you like to do a quick response?
Yeah, I actually want to ask him a question, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
What is the issue? And you say it feels like they're leaning on it. What makes it so that... What makes that bad? Like, what makes it so that the 2D sections are bad compared to, like, 3D sections? Why is it bad that they're leaning on it?
It gives the, like, for example, it gives the implication that they're leaning on it when, like, the first half of a level is 3D and then the last half of it is all 2D, or when there's, like, a lot of it. And it feels like they're reusing the same kind of level mechanic unnecessarily. Like, you use the cube wisp throughout the entire level, and it's like, okay, we get it. And it's only, like, not even a minute long of a level. You're like, okay, I already know how to use the wisp. Like, it's not a big deal. I'm not having that much fun.
I mean, I would say that's pretty good, because, I mean, with the cube wisp, and I know you like to get on this wisp and not any of the other amazing wisps, but, you know, it's timed. You have to be skilled somewhat with platforming to use it.
But that's just Mario.
That's just Mario. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. Because Sonic's moveset... Sonic's moveset around the platforms are a lot different from Mario. Mario jumps... I mean, I'm not going to get into the Mario thing, but, like... Sonic has a different moveset, which interacts with platforms differently, which is why Sonic and Mario are completely different, especially in Sonic Colors. It is not a Mario game. I'm tired of hearing that shit.
Just the block, just the cubes.
All right. So I think it's best for us to move on now. So the next question, since I gave Matt a hard-hitting question last time, Evan, this one is for you.
Bring it.
Sonic Generations is often seen as a game that is playing it safe by using returning levels themselves. Can you tell the audience why Generations is better than Colors, which contains a unique level and themes in Colors? Which, so let me restate that because that sounded weird. Tell me why Generations, which reuses level themes and levels, is better than Colors, which gives a complete unique experience. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So the reason Generations was such a W is because it's at the time it was released, it's felt like a focus shift, and the priority seemed to be to have a fun playthrough experience. Before, at times, it seemed like Sonic was focusing on everything at the same time. They wanted the next-gen gameplay experience, the best graphics, a really like poetic story, and like a long playthrough experience. And what that meant is they were going to lean on different things, right? You would have filler missions, you'd have plot holes, like there would be holes everywhere. Generations streamlines that to, and I think it focuses on what I think the goal should be, especially for an anniversary title like that one. And especially considering we didn't get many games like celebratory games like that. They haven't cashed in on doing that too many times in the grand scheme of things. And so I think at that time it was okay to do that and focus wholly on how do we master the boost gameplay, especially considering that Colors and Unleashed came before that. They were like, all right, let's see what this gameplay style can really do.
Is that all you had to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Mass No Cuts, would you like to respond to that?
I mean, honestly, really, when it comes to that, Sonic Generations, it's a good game in that regard, and it did bring in, like, yeah, I mean, it reused that content, yeah, sure, but, like, you know what, I honestly, I'm gonna go in circles if I state this point again. Let's just move on.
I mean, we did talk about it a little bit, so.
Well, okay, so if that's the case, then I would like to shoot back to maybe a donation question here. This one is from Platinum G. He says, question for Matt. Do you think the Wisps were a better gimmick than classic Sonic? I will give you 2 minutes to respond to that. Your time
Okay, we didn't talk about
now.
that at all. All right.
I like that idea. Okay, so here's the thing. Classic Sonic is a great gameplay, and honestly, like, it's kind of weird, because, like, the Wisps are a gimmick that is built around modern Sonic. Classic Sonic is an entirely different gameplay. So, I mean, really, it depends. Like, do you own, like, when you're playing Sonic Generations, I'm sure there's a lot of people who play Classic Sonic, but let's be honest here, the majority plays the boost levels the most. And for Sonic Colors, I feel like the Wisps, not including the Cube Wisp, let's talk about the other ones that add so much cool stuff to the levels. Like, when you complete these levels, you can go back and use the Wisps to do different routes within the level. And I like that. And there's so many different routes you can use through the Wisps, and you can actually get skilled with these Wisps, aliens, to do greater things, to get through the level faster. Sonic Generations, its control scheme and its abilities and the skill, the skill ceiling for Sonic Generations is I think it's a lot lower than Sonic Colors. Unless you're breaking the game, then I guess you could consider that. But like Sonic Colors, to an average person playing, it has a much higher skill ceiling, which I consider great because anyone can enjoy. Anyone who wants a somewhat challenging game, they can go for the challenging routes. Somebody who wants an easy game, they can go for just playing the game normally through easy routes. Sonic Generations, it's an easy game, start to finish, except for that weird boss fight that nobody likes.
We haven't even gotten there yet. I would like to respond if I can.
Okay, I will give you 1 minute. Go ahead.
All right, so we've talked about this quite a bit, but I think I've come to a realization. This is a fresh take for y'all. Matt keeps bringing up how these, like, this higher skill ceiling that the Wisps provide us, and there are Wisps that I quite enjoy, right? Laser and Drill, like, I'll throw them out, the ones that I like. It just, unfortunately, there's less Wisps that I think fit into Sonic's overall, like, concept as, like, a momentum-based speed platformer. It's so weird, right? Because what Sonic should be is so divisive, so I won't get into that. However, the reason I said at the beginning of this debate that I never really went back into these alternate routes that the Wisps use is because you really only get the red rings, and these pathways don't make you go through the level faster, so there's really no incentive to revisit them. Some of them might make you go faster, but a lot of them are just kind of pockets, a la like in Sonic 3, where you would get like a special stage ring, right? But in Sonic 3, you are rewarded with supersonic or hypersonic, and then you get through the other levels faster, so it makes sense to have to backtrack. When you already have the multiplayer levels you unlock from getting the red rings, there's no reason to go back, and they're slower anyway. Generations, the levels are built forward. Multiple routes.
Time is up.
Okay.
Pets, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I will respond to
I'll
this.
give you 1 minute. Go ahead.
I'll respond to this, and you know, I'm gonna say it again. Yeah, going for red rings and all that. The reason why you might have an incentive to do so, which you were asking, what was the incentive to doing that? It's called getting a higher score and getting an S rank. I know you don't care about S ranks, but they do matter. It's the satisfaction.
Play
It's
Dance
the push
Dance
to
Revolution.
collect. No,
Evan, let him.
Okay, all right.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is an incentive to go for S ranks. It's not just something there. Like, how many people are even collectors here? Like, everybody collects something eventually. Like, S ranks is a reward. It's a satisfaction. It tells you that you are a good player playing this game. You have mastered this game when you get an S rank. In Sonic Generations, you get an S rank from holding forward. That is all you have to do. Really, like, I will play this game with my toes. I'm dead ass. I'll get an S rank.
Okay.
Oh
Time's
my
up.
gosh.
Evan, would you like to reply to that?
So I do. It can be really quick though. How much time are you willing to give me?
I will give you 30 seconds.
So I gotta give the W to Chowmix for this one because I'm thinking the same thing, but it in the chat, so I gotta give the credit where it's due. Sonic, like all the way back to Sonic 1, it's about getting through the levels fast as possible. Yuji Naka made Sonic at around the concept there was not a save feature yet, so he wants you to be able to get to where you were in your playthrough fast if you know what to do, right? Colors isn't doing that. The rank system, you can like it as much as you want, but being a fan from, you know, 2 and on, of course I'm gonna feel like, hey, this is different than what has been established. Sorry, I'm old.
All right, I want to respond.
Okay, I will also.
That was
give you 30
overtime,
seconds.
wasn't
Your
it?
time starts now.
Hey, bro, that's cool and all, but I mean, like, you can do that with Sonic Colors. You can go for the faster time, and you act like Sonic Generations is going to give you anything different from going faster, which is another thing. You can make S ranks actually be challenging by making it so that you have to complete the level even faster, like a very fast time. They don't do that. And I mean, sure, in the classics, they just make you complete the level with no rank. Sonic Colors, you have the option just complete it fast and get a shit rank and have the ego of, hey, I got a fast time, or you can have the ego of, hey, I beat the game and I beat this level and I mastered it with all the level gimmicks and all the wisps. You can do that. You can have all sides. Sonic Generations only has one side, and that is time. Sonic Colors has everything.
All right. I think with that, we can move on
Sure.
to probably the last donation question we'll probably get to for today. This is from, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement, but we could definitely turn this into a question. This is from Stone Cold Miracle. It says, Color's identity is that it is reinstated the theme of nature and industrialization. Freeing the Wisps from their chains goes back to their roots. Now, what I could turn this into a question by saying, Matt, do you feel like Colors going back to the roots of Sonic of freeing animals or freeing the aliens, do you think that is a positive for the series that it did? And after you ask that question, Evan, I'm going to shoot it to you. Do you think because Generations kind of goes back to the roots by sharing old levels, do you think that also did something good for the series? Matt, I'll shoot with you first with your take on that. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
So at first, I was like, damn it, we're talking about the atmosphere again. But like, all right, but yeah, I mean, you kind of put into my words why I kind of like Colors, which was like, you know, freeing the aliens, you know, going through space, you know, defeating Dr. Robotnik. It's cheesy, but it's nice, it's charming, yeah, I like that. Sonic Generations, I mean, I sound like a broken record here, like, it's taking the atmosphere from other games, and that's its atmosphere. And yes, I get that it's a celebration. That's cool, bro. That's a nice excuse, but it doesn't change that. It doesn't change the identity that, say, games like Colors, SA2, Unleash, SA1 has. That's what I have to say. And I want to get off this atmosphere shit as soon as possible.
All right, Evan, what is your thoughts on Generations reusing levels. Do you think that did a good thing for the series? And do you think it actually started a domino effect after Generations that has stained the series ever since? I'll start now.
Oh, it seems like you got some thoughts about that, Sam. Anyway.
Well, hold on. Let me clarify quick. I'm going to give you some hard questions too, because Matt is fighting an uphill battle right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
So
Sure.
do you think Generations started a trend that has done bad things to the series?
Oh,
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Oh,
We're
you know
using
what?
Green Hill Zone.
I'm
Chemical
happy.
plant.
I'm happy actually, because we didn't talk about this yet, and we touched on it, but okay, I'll go for it. So yeah, I do think that in the context of its release, Generations did a lot of good things, right? But now, yes, that take has kind of aged because of what they ended up doing, right? Forces, as much as it's not a sequel to Generations, is a sequel to Generations, like it must be. And it started this trend, like you said, of kind of like a touch and go reference to previous Sonic things. I mean, Chaos, right? He's not even a boss fight. They just put him in there because they think they can because of Generations. However, that backfired on them. So I don't know if this like implication that like, oh no, it started a trend that like ruined the franchise. They didn't get away with it. Forces released, and most of us were like, no, you at least make a boss fight. Not okay. Like, I think that's collectively what most people said about that. So I don't know. I would have to argue I don't think it did that.
Okay. I'd like to respond to that. I'd like to
I
respond
will
to that.
also give you 1 minute. Your time starts now.
You could say the exact same thing for Colors.
Can you like
You
explain
could.
it?
Okay, so Colors has had some negative effects, like the story and whatnot.
Sure.
Generations has had some negative effects, like Green Hill and Chemical Plant, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, really, when it gets down to the point where they keep reusing Green Hill and Chemical Plant, it's like stop doing that, you know? And they do that. They stop doing it because we get on their asses. So why is it Colors' fault that Sonic Team keeps reusing the Wisps? Like, we're blaming Sonic Colors when we should be blaming Sonic Team for reusing this bullshit.
So can I respond really quickly to that too? If you're
I will
done?
give you 30 seconds. Go ahead.
So it's really what it bogs down to is because they definitely both started some sort of trend, right? But what Generation started is, a touch and go reference, like cashing in on nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
But it's been made loud and clear. Green Hill, Chemical Plant can't be done again, and you can't do something like Chaos again. We've made it loud and clear. What isn't clear is the story direction that started this trend, right? The writing trend that Color started. That's kind of harder to unpack, right? Some people really liked it. Colors was received really well, but people are super passionate about how it didn't include any of the rest of the cast. It was just Sonic and Tails in that console version, by the way. It was just Sonic and Tails throughout the whole thing. And so moving forward, all the other characters become background characters. So it's kind of unclear whose fault it is what I'm trying to say, right? Where Sonic is now, I think is irrelevant to the discussion. Just
Okay.
saying.
Your time is up. No, I'm gonna actually jump in and ask you a question, Evan, after what you just said. Could you make that argument for Sonic Generations that it also just has Sonic and Tails and the rest of the cast are relatively pointless?
Well, at least they're there, is what I'm saying, right? Like, it is a touch and go experience, but I would say that if we're going to put one of these two games on a pedestal, which is kind of what this debate is about, right? If we're gonna kind of say this over this, what do we want to decide, right? Do we want to decide a major shift in direction for writing that's more akin to a Saturday morning cartoon and not like the more poetic narratives of like Adventure 1 and 2 and maybe Unleashed? Do we want to take that? Or do we want to take a touch and go nostalgia experience that will maybe, hopefully, eventually through criticism result in something more substantial? Which, when you use nostalgic things, people feel more passionately about those things. So I think we'll get more helpful feedback, constructive feedback with those things.
Okay, I think our time's up on that one. Let's move on to probably.
I think he wants to respond.
Can I respond real quick?
Yeah, yes, I'll give you 30 seconds. Go ahead. Time starts now.
I kind of agree that Sonic's future is kind of irrelevant in this debate, which is why I kind of find it stupid that Sonic Colors is getting blamed for the writing, because Sonic fans have been complaining about the writing for years, and Sonic Team still hasn't done shit. That is Sonic Team's fault. That is not Sonic Colors. That has nothing to do with Sonic Colors, because Sonic Team is still doing the exact same shit, and they still haven't changed. I think it's really in the same boat, where they're both just carrying, like, bad habits that Generations was lucky enough to get theirs killed off.
Okay.
Both games were received well as well.
I can agree to that.
Time is up. With that said, I kind of want to shoot maybe to the last section we probably didn't really talk about in the games yet. When it comes to a lot of Sonic games, whether the gameplay is good or bad, there's one thing that people can always praise is the music. And I want to ask you guys individually, because I do think, compared to Colors of Generations, they have definitely a different style intake for the music. I'll start with Matt Has No Cuts. Matt Has No Cuts, why do you think the music, if you do, I'm sure, why do you think the music in Sonic Colors is better than the music in Sonic Generations? I will give you 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
You see, this was a tricky thing even in the last debate. It's like Sonic Generations, it has a lot of the tracks from the older games. It has vocal tracks, but the thing is, it doesn't have all of the vocal tracks and all. Well, I mean, it might have all the vocal tracks, but it doesn't have all the soundtracks from previous games. And I mean, that's nice. It's unlocked. Like, I mean, those are unlockable. But I mean, with Sonic Colors, I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure it might have had a larger soundtrack if you don't count those unlockables. And honestly, I kind of like the consistency of Colors soundtrack, because I mean, there's a few ones in Generations, like I mean, let's be honest here, we don't, there's some Sonic games that we don't listen to because it's not our taste. So I mean, like Sonic Generations, it gives us such a variety that, like, putting it in a playlist, it's kind of hard to do that with Sonic Generations because it's all of the music. But with Sonic Colors, you can do that with Sonic Colors because you know exactly what you're getting with the soundtrack. I mean, really, this is preference, so I mean, like, I don't really care.
Okay. Evan, would you like to advocate for Generations for colors or for music?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Okay. I will give you 2 minutes as well. Time starts now.
I might not need all 2 minutes. So this is I mean, it's Generations. So it's already implied that it's nostalgia based. I'm a longtime fan. You guys know this. So I think just Jun Sonoy in general being involved, right? Like, it really like made me excited, right? Because he gets the opportunity to remix tracks that he otherwise didn't maybe have an opportunity to revisit. And there's also opportunity for collaborations between new Sonic artists that have joined on later. So you're getting artists like Otani that get to revisit songs that he didn't originally make. And so what you're left with is an OST that's even more of like truer to what Sonic's like essence is, I guess, right? Because they brought in a huge sound team for the soundtrack of that game because it was a celebration of previous composers too. They even brought back old composers to remix some of their old tracks too. So as great as the Color soundtrack is, and I do think it's great, and it is consistent and it paints the kind of atmosphere really well. Again, that atmosphere is, in my opinion, a shift from what I'm used to. And so it's really nice, especially at the time of the release, to have Jun Sonoy come back and really just give us his all and bring in a whole team. That's my take.
All right. I have a question for Evan real quick.
All right.
Okay.
And I know I didn't say I was gonna do much on the soundtrack, but like,
Okay.
do you listen to Sonic music, Evan?
Yeah.
Do you have Sonic Generations, just a playlist of Sonic Generations?
What do you mean? I use YouTube. I just use YouTube to listen to music.
I mean, yeah, you do. But like, do you specifically listen to Sonic Generations music ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
It's.
Well, I
yeah.
mean, those are previous games. Those aren't Sonic Generations.
Wait, what? What do you say? What are you saying? What? Are you
Okay,
saying do I ever listen to the Generations version?
There's like 20 tracks in Sonic Generations. The rest are reused, right?
They're all original.
So,
they're all redone.
Yeah, for the first 20 tracks, the rest are just reused from previous games.
Which one are you talking about? The ones you can unlock and like play in a stage,
Yeah.
and they're like MIDI files?
Yeah, man.
I'm not talking about those. Those are extra unlockables, bro. That's like complaining about the assets in the multiplayer mode in Sonic Colors.
I'm not complaining about that though. All right.
They're extra unlockables, bruh.
All right. I think we should probably start our closing statements in a moment here. Considering we've exhausted all of the questions on my end, and we exhausted any questions that we seem to have gotten from chat and donations. So with that said, I think it's time for us to start our closing statements. Evan, I'll give you the floor first, and then we will end with Matt Has No Cuts. So Evan, I will give you 2 minutes for your closing statement. Your time starts now.
All right, so in my closing statement, since I feel like we covered a lot of the things that I wanted to cover this time around, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Sam for moderating in my absence. You are currently Tails channel. Good job. You did a fantastic job. And also, Matt, you did a really good job. Like, going into this, I really was worried it was going to be landslide, and I don't care what the poll says or what the first poll said. This really did feel like a back and forth. Like, it's true. It feels like you truly believe this, and you've got really good points. To really put it to bed, I don't hate Sonic Colors at all. I don't even hate the shift of narrative too much. I do wish they went with the DS story, but too bad you're not advocating for the DS version, because that would be very different. Maybe one day we'll do Colors DS versus like Rush Adventure or something like that. But yeah, again, I don't feel too passionately about this subject, so I don't want anyone to think that like I absolutely hate Colors and I want to dunk on it all day. You know, like Sam and I both were kind of like, I don't know, like I think there's a way you can pull out this W. So who knows? Anyway, that's really all I had to say. I really had no more points. So good job, everybody.
And by the way, we'll save the fuzzies when we start putting up the poll. So Matt, you don't have to be too nice yet.
You can be mean to me if you want.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 minutes for your closing statement. Time starts now.
All right, so the way I'll conclude Sonic Colors, and I was hoping to have a point of where I could say this, but I mean, like, if you're looking for specifically boost gameplay and you really just do not care about classic Sonic, I mean, Generations has far more content-wise for Sonic Generations. I say if you want boosting gameplay, Sonic Colors is more bang for your buck, and I really I think it even has a nice atmosphere. I think it, and I hate bringing that up again because, man, we've been on the whole debate.
You keep bringing it up.
I know. I wasn't even the one who brought it up most time. It was always asked a question, man. All right, but like, yeah, I think the game's great. I think Sonic Generations is great. I mean, yeah, I dogged on it for being a celebration game, which I mean, yeah, it's a celebration game. Congrats. I mean, it's good. Sonic Colors also good. Evan has some points that caught me off guard, and honestly, I felt like we were going in circles constantly.
Yeah, that's how it tends to be.
Yeah, I still don't think you understood my point about the S ranks, but you know.
No, I just don't care about ranking. That's all. I just.
What?
Okay.
What if somebody does? Then they can choose to care or not to care.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I think the final statement is now dissolving. So with that said, you know, I do actually want to ask this real quick. Matt, was there any questions that you probably want to address, or anything of your game that you want to bring up that you feel like probably wasn't brought up? I'll probably give you one last chance to bring that up.
All right. So Sonic Colors is not the root of all evil with the meta era. It is not the reason why this era of Sonic sucks. All right. Don't blame Sonic Colors. This is not the reason why you're getting bad stories. It's not the reason why the Wisps show up in every game. If you want this to stop, criticize it. Don't just blame Sonic Colors and say root of all evil meta era. Don't group it in with Forces and Lost World. That is hella disrespectful, and it's not a Mario game. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I just wanted you to make sure you were able to make that clear. And all right, I think now is a proper time for us to set up the poll for people to set in their votes. And while that poll is going on, I think we will have each candidate say one good thing about each other's game if they haven't already, even though Evan kind of already did that. I do want them to be a bit more concise about it. So let's get that poll up. And first, I will start with Evan. Could you say something that you like about Sonic Colors?
Yeah, let me just pin this poll, so just don't start my timer yet. It is now pinned to the chat. Yes, sweet. Okay, so one good thing about Sonic Colors. Well, that won't really be hard for me since I do quite enjoy Sonic Colors. So one good thing about Sonic Colors is, I think Matt brought it up earlier, right? Like, I think overall, Sonic Colors is better at its set pieces, right? I feel like I see a lot more fan art of that. What's that?
Am I still on the screen?
You're still on the screen because I was doing the poll. So Colors is better at making set pieces, right? I see a lot more fan art of that final boss with all the Wisps running next to him, right? And like, you know, in the Nega Wisp armor kind of thing that Eggman's in. That's a nice set piece, right? And Generations doesn't really have that, right? Like the final boss is just kind of like, it almost is exactly the same as Colors, right? Like they're just kind of like, they don't have any kind of ideas for set pieces. But again, the set pieces they were using are just a celebration. So I do really admire the set pieces they were able to pull off in Colors. Sonic running away from the black hole too, right? Like I can imagine how I would make some sort of poster about Sonic Colors. So I mean, it's no surprise we spent as long as we did on Atmosphere, because you know, that's a big point against Generations. So I think it's just because we're comparing these two specific games that it came up so much. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's worth talking about.
All right, Mazno Cuts, would you have one nice thing to say about Generations?
Well, I mean, Sonic Generations is still in my top 5 3D Sonic games. It's really good. It's a really good game, and it's one of the only Sonic games that mutually the community loves. I mean, like, when's the last time you found somebody who dislikes Generations? I mean, like, the worst you'll hear is somebody who says media. I don't hate it.
Oh, okay.
I like Generations. Honestly, if we got more games like Generations, I'd be satisfied. It's not my ideal Sonic game, but it's satisfying enough. And honestly, I love Sonic as a franchise, so I'm not gonna dog on Generations that much because I love Sonic Generations. It's a great game. I just wish it, you know, wasn't so casual. That's all I have to say. But yeah,
Ooh, okay. It's so weird because I feel like Colors is casual too, but you know, it's all good. What's that, Sam?
Option to be casual.
All right.
I was gonna say, all right. So it seems by the votes, it seems it's about an 80-20.
Oh, let me just show those on screen right now. Here we go.
Go ahead. And I actually want to give a huge shout out to both candidates, and especially Matt Has No Cuts, who is all honesty is fighting an uphill battle here. And I think everyone in chat understands that. So honestly, kudos to Matt Has No Cuts for for a lot of the great points he brought up for Colors. So I think it would be in everyone's best interest to do a heart spam in the chat for both of our candidates today.
So I just want you to know, just so you don't look silly, I tried to show the results on screen and they didn't update. So let me just like figure this out for a second. Yeah, let me just
well, I'll tell you right now, it's 80-20. It's 80% Generations, 20% Colors.
Heart spam in chat if you like Sonic Colors more than Gens.
Wow.
Oh my god. Wow, you can't do that, bro.
Oh, look at that. Look at all this love, dude. Look at all this love.
Wait, I think that the results should update. Why aren't they updating? What the... Oh, okay, I've had enough of this.
Sonic Colors lost so bad it broke the...
They're right there. It's right there. I have it on screen now. I had a backup plan.
You can stop streaming on Discord too. It's clearly not working.
Okay.
It's all right. So yeah, with that said, no, this was a fun debate. I want to thank both of our candidates for doing an amazing job for defending each other, their respective titles. And again, for anyone that is interested in following, Matt Has No Cuts, he is added in the description down below. Be sure to check him out. Subscribe to him. Makes great content.
Subscribe to Sam. Don't forget to subscribe to Sam too. He also makes really great content, and he hosted this whole thing for me. Thank you. Heart spam if you're going to subscribe to Sam right now.
No, stop. Jesus Christ. Shut up. Your time is up, Evan. Your time is up.
It's over. Let it go.
For all things Sonic news, be sure to stick to Tails channel. I appreciate you guys in the chat for being here. And with all that said, I think we are good to sign out. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys. Thanks again, Matt, for being here. Thanks.